not suppositories, no. Sorry? Investing, no. That actually tends to be more social influence than you'd imagine. Then we'd like to think. That's why we go through that whole routine about, have you looked at this? Do you understand what you're signing? Anyone got one? Porno mag. No, not porno mags. I haven't looked at porno mags, so, but, you know. Sorry? What? Aerosol.
Hair colouring.
Hair care. No, it's in fact deodorants, but there we are. Deodorant. The format of deodorant you choose is an independent thing. Very difficult to get people to swap across the formats, and that's because it bears the characteristic statistical properties of something that's an independent choice. But there's very few consumer categories which actually fall into that. But that's just a free piece of analysis there. There we go. So nobody got that. I keep my book.
Is it time for another question? I'm Andy from Consideration Media. I've been so inspired by these 5 theories put forward today that I'd like to put them into practical action first thing tomorrow morning. Now, I've got to see a client at lunchtime tomorrow, and I'm going to try and tell them how to sell more cheese. What one thing would you each do to help me do that?
Brilliant.
Oh, good God. Well, I would suggest you go home tonight and you eat a shitload of cheese. Just get into that cheesy vibe. I mean, that's the thing. You probably know all the reasons why people do and don't buy more cheese. I mean, you can get into the cheese buy mindset, I'd imagine, by tomorrow, and talk convincingly and beautifully about how that feels in a way that will make your client believe that you absolutely understand the rules. And that will be a big start towards, whenever someone else comes up with a better idea, as I'm hoping the rest of the panel will, a brilliant way of flogging it to them. So that's all I have. By the time they've finished, I've got to have a brilliant idea, and then I'll keep it for myself.
No. One thing I would get you to think about is how visible is your cheese choice. I mean, I looked at all kinds of things like toilet paper, and one of the coldest and loneliest and low interaction aisles in any grocery store is toilet paper, right? People just don't look at what each other's doing. Out again. There are a few people, weird outliers, who do squeeze it quite a lot, but that's beside the point. Cheese, I think, might be kind of a slightly more social. There might be some expertise involved for some people buying it, following the expertise, and there might be, that's the brand that we buy, of that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Anyway, so that's the thing to think about, is what's the context for the purchase.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of slightly go down the context route too. Okay, so it's a really interesting experiment done recently to sell more a particular cereal. And what they did was, the cereal has been around for donkey's years, and some colleagues of mine, applying some psychological techniques, said, okay, so what can we do to sort of reinvigorate the notion that this particular cereal is great, we like it, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do some priming and some sampling in 2 different locations. In the first place, we'll do nothing, put on an ad. The other place we're going to put on an ad and remind people to divert their attention away from the cereal towards the experience in which they experience it, the context in which so in other words, icy cold milk that you have at the time that you're consuming it, actually kind of go, oh God, yeah, so I can actually shift people's perception of the novelty of the experience by diverting attention to something which co-occurs with it.
Now, in economics, that's complementarity, very useful. I was going to suggest exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah, of course you
No. Has anybody tried these Ditty's smoked oat cakes made from nobody? Okay, I would find something that's particularly good with the cheese, and I'd try and get it actually stacked on the same shelf or next door.
Yeah, and sample it before you go in. So
what's the
get
order?
them at the
I have
supermarket.
this bizarre thing, okay? In supermarkets, sugar comes next to baked goods. So you buy your sugar, not next to tea or coffee, but next to bloody flour. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't done any, I don't think families have done any baking since 1953 or something. But even weirder, not only is powdered sugar next to baked goods, but so are sugar lumps. Now, something has got to be done with the placement of goods in supermarkets to maximise value by putting really, really good cheese next to really, really good biscuits, or if you're a Celt like me, oatcakes, okay? Because bloody Saxons are poisoning us with wheat, sorry. Anyway, but anyway, that business of complementarity, of actually whether creating offers or proximity, so that things that complement each other well will therefore be more valued, seems to be a no-brainer.
You can reinvigorate the whole experience by doing that, and you can test this before you even go to market too.
What's not going to work is giving people samples. It's what the drinks industry does again and again and again. Let's go and sample. Let's give people the product. Because they don't have anything to compare it with, they have no context for it, and frankly, most drinks taste the same when they're in the sample environment.
Most what? Cheese tastes the same.
Drinks.
Drinks, oh sorry,
We're talking about cheese.
Yeah, I'm moving it along to a similar category.
But what we're trying to get them to experience is the biscuit, not the cheese.
I'm just saying that sampling is not necessarily that useful unless the product is superior in some way. And that people are going to make choices independently based on the quality of that product.
So if this is Collier's South Welsh Miners Extra Strong Cheddar, okay, sample it, because it's fucking ace.
Yeah, I tell you. Where are you? What time's this meeting?
I've cracked it now as well.
That's for John.
I have absolutely no practical advice because market research is of no practical benefit, and I wouldn't want to break a tradition. You can pay very large amounts afterwards.
Should we take one more question and then have a vote? Who's got?
Hi. Hi. Ollie Markson from Grey. Slightly geeky question, but I wanted to call out a potential paradox of all of the potential routes of understanding consumers, which is actually our own, everyone in this room, our own human involvement. I would like to know what is in the subconscious of the neuroscientist, or for that matter, what is the emotion of the juicer when he's doing his juicing or when he is assessing his juice. Because after all, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how scientific or how artsy our route is to come up with a load of results. When we in this room assess those results, and when we make informed decisions, be it us or our clients, those decisions are indeed made by our own mind and our own gut, which surely lends itself to the suggestion that at the end of the day, the routes where you use your own mind, and at the very end of the day, your gut feel, will always be infinitely superior.
And I think because that's true, because our role in all of this, I think some of these thoughts need applying to how our techniques and things actually land in a business, because the social context of being a client or being an agency has enormous impact on whether something gets adopted or whether it doesn't get adopted.
When you go to a debrief and the room relaxes on the opening phrase, good news.
Yeah.
Or, right, and you can see the researcher blanching before the first chart. You know what's going to happen then. The group takes off in its own way.
And I think it is true, and we need to use empathy and also framing to know, well, what's the context here into which you're putting this idea or this result.
And how do people make decisions in the first place? Do people in business make decisions independent of each other? They like to pretend they do, as rational agents calculating utilities and so on, but it's a nonsense. They're human beings like everyone else, and they behave like the rest of us do, just like you do.
But effectively, you need to get them into a very positive or surprised emotional state to do anything positive. Even negative state is better than neutral, and how much stuff is just bland neutrality, which nothing will come from nothing.
There's a very interesting bias present, I think, in planning, which planning needs to be alert to, which is that they are disproportionately obsessed with the interesting nature of the insight. Okay? So if it's an insight that ties to an extraordinary social trend that probably involves skateboarding and new trends in youth behaviour and so forth, planners inherently believe this is spectacularly valid and important. Whereas if you have a banal insight, which is broadly the one that sustained BMP for so many years, which is that singing animals always go down a storm, okay? You cannot build a great planning career just on saying, can we make it a bear this time, okay? So there is undoubtedly an inherent planning bias, which is that the role played by planning in any course of action has a disproportionate effect in deciding which is the better course of action.
I could just add a little something to that. So there's a brilliant paper from the market, I think it's the MRS Journal by Alan Hedges, who some of you know from testing destruction, and Sue Robson, I think. And there's one of those, the MRS, if you think we like to beat ourselves up, hang with some researchers for a while, they really like to do is like, what is one of those, what do clients value about research? So they said, what's the biggest thing clients worry about in a debrief? And they're like, surely and they want people to say, was the sample size large enough? Was the methodology robust? Yeah. Number one reason on the list, they make me look stupid in front of my boss. That's a very human reaction to research. That's what people really worry about.
Yeah. Lovely.
I think on that point, should we do another vote? Do you want to see how it's changed?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, go on. Let's just, for the heck of it, take a show of hands. I know you all want to spread the money equally, and I know you are all having a bit of a love-in, but you can't. You get one vote each. Just interestingly, see where you want to spend your $1 million bill. From the top, who still wants to ask the consumer about their emotions, maybe, rather than their rational thing, but who still wants to go talk to the consumer?
Oh, blimey.
I thought it wasn't possible to go backwards, but it is. It's got 3 out of 6.
Unfortunately, you're probably all going to have to in your jobs, but there you go. Secondly then, who wants to take a look inside their heads? Who wants to use neuroscience to understand a little bit more? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
God, there's loads.
Smattering of hands. Oh, okay. It's okay. We've stayed. So that's neuroscience done. The third one, science. Who wants to plump their money with behavioural economics, and not just because they'll get 9,880,000 back? Okay, a good fair showing. Not sure. Come down. Who's going with Mr. Earls? Earls? Yes, Earls. Sorry, brain's gone. Understand the individual. You got to understand the herd first. Okay.
It's held firm.
Interesting.
It's held firm.
So who's going to go back and decide the answer lies within, and we all just need to be more empathetic?
It's a fortune.
So how many in the room would like to just basically make it up themselves? Fantastic.
You know us too well.
Brilliant. Long live making it up ourselves. It's always been the best way to go. I think all that remains is for me to thank every one of the panellists. They've been brilliant. They're all really busy people, and I'm so glad they've been able to come here tonight. I'm sure if they've inspired you to engage them further in any of the projects that you're on, they'll be only too happy to oblige. But other than that, give them a big round of applause.